Greetings, sailors, and welcome back to World of Warships. And I'm going to look at the Francesco Ferruccio today, but before we get to the ship itself, I'm going to talk a little about the Salvage for Victory event. Do we call it an event? I don't know. The current tab in the armory, which is how you obtain a couple of different ships. We've had this before, but I have some mixed feelings on it this time because they have dangled a very big carrot at the, well, not at the end, but towards the end in the form of the Kitakami. Now, I think most people should be able to get the Eli with no difficulty if they've got even relatively minor stockpile of stuff. And it's okay. It's a slightly less good Duca Dosta. I'll actually go back and look at the port for a second, because I do want to point out it's not strictly a copy-paste. Lots of the stats are copy-paste, but they have gone to the effort of modelling the differences, because this was actually based on it was a war reparation ship. It was a separate ship. It was the Genio di Savoia, as opposed to this being, the representative of the class, but I'm guessing it's also a lot closer to the actual Emanuele Filiberto Duca d'Aosta, which is always fun to say. So they are slightly different. They have actually gone to the effort of modelling the slight differences, and you can at least appreciate that they've put that eye for detail in, because Sharnhorse 43, I think, was pretty much a literal copy-paste of the model. So then for a bit more, you get the Ferruccio, which is what I'm going to be doing today's video on. Then you have Defense, which will be a separate video. And then we have Kitakami. Now, Kitakami is semi-legendary at this point. This was originally one of the pre-order ships, which was removed before the game came out of beta. They switched it out for, was it Atago? I think they put in its place. But essentially, and this was back in the days when team damage was still very much a thing, essentially it was doing more damage to its teammates than it was to the enemy. And obviously that was a bit of an issue, so they took it out. And we have since then, I think, either 2 or 3 times had testing versions of Kitakami trying out different mechanics. And I actually got to play it one of those times. And they've settled on a version that they're happy with. But you need a lot of resources to get it. I mean a lot. It's basically as much as all of this combined. And while a lot of these are resources that you could grind in some way, indeed you could get steel for actually getting all the various the Christmas bonuses if you have enough high tier ships. We then come down to a point where, unless you have absolutely ludicrous reserves of coal and research points, you're kind of a bit stuck with potentially having to shell out a fair bit of money. And this is where I'm iffy, because, hey, guess what? It just so happens that you can get lots of coal potentially if you buy lots of Christmas boxes, or you could just buy lots of premium time and dump that in as well. Although you'd have to buy a lot of premium time, because I've got over a year of premium time. That gets me 7% of the way. Yeah, so I'm honestly on the fence as to whether I actually want to just, like, if this was just for me, I would not do this, but for the channel, maybe get out my business card and actually buy enough boxes to see if I get enough coal. But even then, I don't think it's a guaranteed, I can't exactly calculate the number of boxes because there's a bit of RNG involved, so I don't even know exactly how many boxes it will take me. And there's still a bit of coal I can get from the Christmas bonuses as well, but it's not going to be nearly enough. I have a grand total of 1% at the moment. So, yeah, I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know if I want to bother, but I might do for the sake of the channel. But I just wanted to point that out, because it's kind of skeevy, Of all the things that Wargaming has done and continues to do, sometimes they push a bit far over the line for my liking, and that's definitely pushing over the line. Because if it was anything else other than Kitakami, I might be a little more inclined to just be right, well, okay, you know, maybe not that many people are going to want this, but it's Kitakami, people are going to want it. So they're basically asking you to wail, and I don't think that's everything that's to be lauded. They're sort of forcing people over a barrel, and I don't think there's been any word if there will be another way to acquire the Kitakami. So I really don't like that. I really don't. Anyway, objections noted, and now let's maybe talk about the ship I want to talk about, because this one's actually kind of interesting. Now, as I said, Eli is a slightly less good Duka, and Duka's already kind of a so-so ship at tier 6, so it's probably a little below average. Ferruccio, on the other hand, is a little bit wild. First thing to note is we have only 2 turrets, but they are quad turrets, so okay, you've got 8 152mm barrels, but they have quite a slow reload. They have an 11-second reload. That's pretty poor for a light cruiser. For being tier 7 though, it has a really good range of 17.5 kilometers, and you stick Luigi Sansonetti in there and you can actually extend that even further. So the firepower is a weird mix of, it's a decent amount of it, and you actually do get high explosive shells to go with SAP shells, so no AP shells in there. So you can set fires, which is quite the boon compared to other Italian cruisers, but you have this really quite slow reload. But you have quite a really good range for a tier 7, so okay, that's a weird mixed bag. Torpedoes are actually pretty decent. You've got the usual quite long range and sort of middling speed, decent damage. So that's not too off base for an Italian cruiser. And then you have the stealth. The stealth is frankly ludicrous, 8.6 kilometers with concealment expert. And this is tier 7, so it doesn't even get to have the equipment. You could potentially put a captain in this that isn't using concealment expert and use those 4 points for something else. But I'm not doing that because I want Sansonetti's bonuses, and he's obviously already spec'd for other things. This is an incredible concealment for a tier 7 cruiser. I don't think there's anything else that even really comes close to that. I genuinely can't think of any other tier 7 cruiser that is at 8.6, that can get down to 8.6. It is ridiculous. And it's a long enough reload that you don't actually have to, like, you fire once and then you only got to wait 9 seconds before you stealth up again, potentially. So if you were just always only firing and then stealthing up and then moving a bit and then firing, obviously that would be a very slow way to do it. But if you absolutely have to stealth up, then yes, that is quite handy. And then on top of all of that, we have 38 knots with the Sierra Mike flag. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. And it's also got the crawling smoke. And if you want even extra range, you can have the spotter aircraft, or you can have the fighter. And I don't even think the AA is that shabby for a tier 7 cruiser, but it's probably not going to stop much. So yeah, it's kind of weird and wacky, and I honestly think I quite like it. It's doing something a bit different. It's certainly unlike a lot of the other Italian cruisers, and compared to other stealthy cruisers like the Brits, some of the Americans, they tend to have much smaller ranges, or they're only AP. So it's a bit wild. It really is. So let's take this into battle and see how we do. Right, so it's given us a tier 8 game, and honestly it's looking pretty good. Not many cruisers and quite a few battleships, so I will be relying on that stealth a fair bit. But yeah, the range also means I do not have to get close at all, or not especially close. So we'll start off with HE. I think that's the safer choice, and let other people do spotting. the presence of a carrier is always going to be a bit annoying because it does somewhat negate your stealth. It's the same with playing any stealthy ship. There are planes that can potentially fly nearby, then that can be a problem. However, you know, if you're viewing this in, like, I don't know, a year and a half's time, they've actually put out an article discussing that once again they are looking at doing something about aircraft spotting. It's not for the first time where they've discussed possible changes, but who knows, maybe something will actually come out of it this time. They're also talking about potential changes for submarines. Again, acknowledging the fact finally that, hey, the way subs just generally don't fit, I feel, and are not particularly fun. But yeah, they have also acknowledged that, well, maybe submarines aren't quite, you know, maybe we should actually do something, maybe, rather than just having thrown our hands up and given up on them. I noticed I'm unspotted already, by the way. This also has very, oh, no, that's secondary battery. 5.5 kilometers. That's very, very good aerial stealth. That is exceptionally good aerial stealth. So let's, yeah, let's get into range. We could have popped a spotter and be firing already, but honestly, I think a DS7, the 17.5 is good enough. But I might change my mind. Who knows? I might decide I'm going to actually go with a spotter instead. Range is very, very useful in a cruiser. It's something I've always said. It represents extra reaction time for dodging incoming shells. But of course, it also presents the challenge that your shells potentially do have a much greater chance of missing. As you can see, it does handle very well as well. It's not just that it's not like Soviet cruisers where it's fast but handles very badly in the water. It's actually got a pretty decent rudder response, pretty decent turning radius. The info card notes that it was basically a concept that they've fleshed out for like a Indian Ocean / Pacific Ocean, like a long-range light cruiser. So sort of very much a kind of in the vein of something like the, I don't know, the Arathusas, or stuff that really wasn't. It was meant to be like, well, here's stuff that has to go like really far away, and it's meant to be enough of a deterrent to dissuade somebody from going after our possessions until we can get more substantive forces there. Although I don't really like. They had basically. What was it, Eritrea, and of course for a little while Ethiopia, but yeah, I don't really know. Like, I'm sure the reason this thing never got made was because that really actually didn't have a need for it, but somebody at least thought there was enough of a need to come up with the concept at least. Right, let's put torpedoes out, we might as well. No fires yet, but it's not, even though you've got high explosive, it's not like it's a prime fire setter. It's got, what are we, 8% fire chance, so you don't get any particular buffs to the shells there. You could, of course, take IFHE, but I don't know if that would be worth it, to be honest. So there we go, there's a fire on that Littorio. We're being steadily pushed back from this cap, and we're not really making progress elsewhere, which is slightly concerning. Right, I do have the option of popping... oh, is that torpedo going to find purchase? No. We do have the option of popping the smoke, of course. So we'll just keep whittling like this. I think it's just the Bazarski that's looking my way. I think... There we go. Torpedo hit. This is definitely... like, its niche is very firmly in the mid to long range harassment role. Right, let us... We're running up against the border, so let us stealth up a bit here. And... oh... We can withdraw. In a slightly more safe fashion. Because they are coming up on us. But, you know, we're fast enough that I don't really have any worries about being caught up with. There are some destroyers that would struggle to catch up with you, let alone battleships. We might actually be able to put torps out again fairly soon. It's a fairly quick reload. 106 is not bad for cruiser torpedoes. Less than 2 minutes. And, of course you are more than capable of stealth torpedoing, it's just you don't have a huge broadside of torps, it's only 4 per side. Slightly unusual stacked quad launchers as well, they're slightly funky looking. Right, how are we doing? I mean, this is... I don't really know what to make of it. We have an Amalfi that's going into the A cap. And Icarus is going up there, so that's fine. But we are kind of overall... in a slightly weird place in terms of map control. But if we get the A cap, that's 2 caps each. And that's fine, I just need to not die, basically. Let's try putting torpedoes out that way. I wonder if I can even maneuver enough to get my other set of torps. Oh, hello, I'm spotted. That's going to be destroyer or something. A little bit of maneuvering. What destroyer have they got? Akizuki. Something I can outrun. Unless it's speed boosting, but yeah, I wonder if they were chasing down here specifically after me. I don't quite have an optimum setup for having like the longest possible smoke screen. I'm missing some, like you could boost out to 30 plus seconds runtime, but yeah, I don't have it going for quite that long. Right, I am very firmly spotted. It's got to be the Akizuki. So we're just going to have to dodge at this point, which is slightly awkward when we're against the border. We do have the Massachusetts. Like the Littorio is firing that high explosive for some reason, so the Massachusetts is the bigger threat. But Massachusetts has got those slower shells, so maybe I'll be okay. Or RNG might go, nope, you're screwed. Because it's not like we've got a heal or anything, so yeah. Oh, there's the Akizuki. Right, you just smoked up, that's fine. I can actually... ooh, potentially... Does he know I've got torpedoes? Let's find out. I can now actually stealth up that he's smoked up. That actually helps me. He must have just come straight down through the sea cap to that position then. So that's absolutely fine. I have taken some damage. I mean, you don't have a lot of hit points for a tier 7 cruiser, less than 30k. But that's not especially remarkable. How are we doing? We are ahead on points and... No, we're not. Head on ships, I mean. Considering the range of these, I was expecting these torpedoes to be much slower, but I don't even know if this is with captain skills to get them to 60 knots. The Italian torps generally are fairly slow. It's one of the major differences between the Duca d'Osta and the Eli, is in their torpedoes. Eli has got... oh, no, I missed it. Rather anemic... second European destroyer branch torps. They do something like 7,000 damage and they only have 6 kilometers of range, but they are very, very fast. Whereas the Duca has got something like 12 kilometers and they are really quite slow. Am I actually going to... No, they actually just ran out. That would have been funny if they were not even remotely intended for the Massachusetts, but managed to hit the Massachusetts anyway. Right, they're turning back a bit because we've got this concentration of firepower, so it's maybe time for me to start opening fire again now that I have no worries about being spotted by something I can't spot in return. One, like you've got the speed for running down something like an Akazuki, potentially, but you don't have a Hydro, so that would maybe make things a little bit tricky. There are circumstances where you could get away with trying to run down a destroyer, though. You just have to be very careful about it. Right, they're all now being way super more defensive. I think they've realised they were trying to push into a bad spot. I mean, it took us a little bit to get the A cap, but yeah, I guess because we just always seem to have a blob of ships around this area, and it's at the point now where they're all still quite healthy, and these enemy ships are starting to try and push in, and they're losing health, and they don't quite know what to do at this point. So we are having some of our ships still, like they've managed to focus down that that Scharnhorst. Don't know who they'll focus next, the Tirpitz maybe, but we're busy, you know, doing exactly the same thing to them. So yeah, we just need to get focused, basically. So there we go. There's another benefit of having Wass's chops. You actually, Sansonetti, you actually do get that as an option to pop up. Actually, maybe try some SAP. I've not tried some SAP at all. Given that we might actually be able to get some decent superstructure shots there. So yeah, we now actually will have slightly longer lasting smoke screens. Right, you're now doomed. Just trying to heal, but yeah, there we go. And there's my main battery range extended. So there we are. Right, back to high explosive. We want the fire. Tirpitz is taking the brunt of it. We do have that Bazarski going for the A cap, which is not ideal, but if we can get the Zeton and then take out the Bazarski, I think that puts us... I mean, we've pretty much won at that point, but we are very close on ships. We are very tight overall. Right, that's got to be the Zeton. Vittorio's firing on somebody else. You do have a fully rotating rear turret, which is nice, but the front turret does not, obviously. Which makes it pretty good when you're kiting. If you need to switch over at all. Right, he's being a little indecisive. He's changing his mind from me to the Tirpitz, which means he's feeling a little overwhelmed, perhaps. Tirpitz ain't looking too hot. So it absolutely... Like, he's given lovely broadsides this Zeton, but... not... Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. Right, he took out the Tirpitz, unfortunately, but the Alabama's still very healthy. And this Zeton's not looking happy at all. Let's actually put Fighter up for what good it'll do. It might, but sometimes they don't really seem to tag on till it's too late. Right, fire. Come on, come on, come on. 300. We can do it. And then we take out the Bazarski. In fact, I think the Kakase is doing that already. Nice. Okay. But the Kakase might need some help. Do I? I've got the speed. I could go for the cap, but the enemy CV is still up and around. I don't know if that's a good idea. But it might be the thing we have to do. We really can't afford to lose the Gokase. Don't give him a broadside, Gokase! It's not a great idea. Oh, that's going to be the Littorio that was targeting me for just a second there. Do have still 2 smokes left. It's getting towards the edge of my range. Oh, the Littorio is actually not that healthy. Right, he's now out of range from me, unfortunately. Littorio itself is reasonably sneaky. Do I get unspotted? Oh. Alright, there goes the Gokase. Oh, that's not good. Right, that's really not good. Okay, that gives us barely any time. Right, unfortunately we played a bit too defensively for too long, and that's really stuck us for time and points. Right, we got to go to the cap. And I got to try and spot this Littorio. And hope that it all works out. I think their Ryusho might be starting to get low on planes. Or if our Furis can... Well, maybe. Hopefully the Furis can at least keep them off the cap. The fact that they could disrupt our cap was obviously not great. 76k, not terrible. Not super noteworthy, but I did do quite a lot of slightly hairy dodging. But Alabama's got good health. Might be time for another smoke. Oh, you've got quite a lot of... Well, I mean, he's sending his planes against Alabama AA, so hopefully that doesn't work out for him. Oh, we're about to lose this on points. Oh, well, this was a tight one, at least. This was... have you just been firing high explosive the entire game, Littorio? Guess you have. Anyway, that's a shame, but it really did just come down to not having enough lead on the points, and yeah. I don't know what I would have done differently in that one. Furious was actually first place. So yeah, that's a bit of a shame that we lost that one, but it was a very, very tight game. And that Pozarski, actually, I think we'll give them a compliment. They clearly did very well. But yeah, it feels a little bit of a shame that we lost that one. But you got to see quite how good at dodging this thing is. So let's do another one. Wow, this time top tier. Exactly the same map. And no CVs to worry about. So I'm going to get a much more full benefit of my stealth, I think. I've also, just to see what it's like, I've put on the spotter plane, so we'll see if that dramatically helps me. This is the nature of being a light cruiser, that you do have to kind of rely on other people to tank the damage, which they're not always willing to do. Okay, we're starting to get some spotting. I guess we'll have a go at this Algeria, do a bit of recon by fire. See who pops off at me in return. They look like they're speed boosting. I wonder in a drag race who would win, this or a speed boosting Algeria? I might actually be better off with the SAP shells here, you know. Right, they've got a little bit wary because, hey, a whole bunch of torpedoes just went past. Ooh, Shiratsu. Let's help out with that, shall we? Akatsuki, you don't want to sit still in that smoke, mate. You really don't. Oh, there we go. Okay, yes, they are moving. They're just begging to be torpedoed if you do that. You really, like in that kind of scenario, you want to turn and sort of smoke so it's behind you rather than coming to a dead halt like that and then coming out of your... Or at least try and have the smoke between you and where you think things are. That was not optimal destroyer gameplay, let's put it that way. Right, here's where a hydro would be useful. But we know we've landed a bit of damage already, and there doesn't seem to be much else back there right now. The Heinrich is on the other side. The Renown 44 is sort of in the middle. We can try some blind torpedoes here, actually. For this sort of thing, having oh, is it radio location? I can never remember what it's called. They've changed the name like 4 times in its existence, so who knows? But that one. It might be useful. Oh, hello, a Cavour. Well, guess who's got some GT smoke? Being a light cruiser. Unlike the heavy cruisers, where firing at this range would be a bit suicidal, I can actually get away with, yeah. Now, there's a little disadvantage in having no AP. There are times when AP would be more useful, but given that it's light caliber AP, 152mm, 6-inch AP, you have to be generally kinda close to use that in a more useful fashion. Right, Stored has picked up the Shiratsuyu. They are starting to get a bit more cheeky, a bit more interested around this flank. Hello, Algerie. Cavour is being very cagey. I'm not super duper worried about the Cavour. They might get lucky, but to be honest, it's not a superb tier 5. Kind of small caliber guns even for a tier 5, and it's got that usual Italian shotgun accuracy. Hello, although the Renown is apparently taking pops at me as well. Right, high explosive. Right, we're losing control of the decap, which ain't fantastic. We get fire going. It's going to be a little trickier. The Cavour doesn't have super huge superstructure. How are we doing overall? Sort of a little hard to tell. I'm almost tempted to see if I could set up to pretend I'm a destroyer, maybe torpedo that Renown. Yeah, we've only had 1 fire so far, which is not fantastic. Yeah, let's see if we can torpedo the Renown. And, oh, hello, there's a Fubuki there as well. In fact, that might actually be the better target, the Fubuki. Besides, they're going to smoke up. Do a tight inside turn. Right, the Renown's kind of just chillaxing there at the moment. Okay, they've taken the... Yeah, this is not looking fantastic all of a sudden, is it? See if my torpedoes find purchase. Our best bet of taking a cap back is the A cap at this point, but the... Shiratsuyu's still there. And neither the Tiger nor the Florida are looking particularly healthy. Right, we might be fighting a bit of a rearguard action here. Oh, there goes the sorry. I'm not having a great feeling about this one. But we'll see. See if our ships can effect some kind of breakout. Right. Oh, it'd be fun if he actually... I think you're about... I think you just went forward into a pair of torpedoes, Renown. Yeah, I won't say no to that. That is a little bit amusing. Oh, only one. Okay, the speed boost was able to get him. I thought he was going to take 2 out of that, but no. They are very, very good in terms of their utility, these torps. Alright, let's see if we can peg a fire on the Renown. That would be a very good ship of theirs to knock out of action. It's a bit confusing, they've got the Renown 44 and the Renown. I don't think I have a Renown 44 either. There we go, fire. And it did quell a flooding, so... I'll stick. Do have the Heinrich and the Renown coming in, looking very healthy from the other flank. I'm not sure any of our people look very healthy at this point. I think Florida's just trying to stay stealthy. Yeah, this is just an absolute rear guard, running away, trying not to get focused kind of action. Going to be a little bit mercenary and hope they keep focusing this Tiger. Right, there's the Florida opening up. Come on, burn Renown. I mean, if you were SAP and AP only, I think this would be a far more frustrating ship to use. But the fact that even with the low rate of fire, you do have the possibility of setting ships ablaze. Yeah. Ammo makes a big difference. It really does. Nice. Okay. The Tiger is somehow still alive. I'm actually going to turn around, see if I can get close enough to engage the Heinrich. Or at least drop torpedoes in that direction. You could specialise this in torpedoes. You don't get quite as many skills with Cruiser Captain, of course, but you could do that. You could really lean into the torpedo armament. But yeah, it's just, it has utility in all the right ways. I like it. The speed, the stealth, the range. It is an interesting little ship. Right, Heinrich, they're just chasing down the Florida now. Fubuki, I would have to assume would be up around here, at least that's kind of what I would do. And the Hatsuharu, not Hatsuharu, Shiratsuyu, probably running ahead of that group as well. If we suddenly get spotted, it will almost certainly be the Fubuki. Right, Heinrich, no, don't just keep going in a nice straight line and let me get to a position where I can drop my torpedoes. This is pure destroyer mindset at this point, like drop the torps. And then when I'm headed away, maybe I'll open fire. Well, no, I guess I will open fire. I can't afford not to open fire. We're in a new enough ship that I'm hoping they don't know that, hey, he's done a torpedo drop. Ah, everyone's dying. That's not good. That's not good at all. Get a fire going. Right, in a cruiser where you just have the range and the maneuverability to dodge like this. Like, there's not that many cruisers where you get to do it. It's like nerve-wracking and very seat of the pants, but at the same time it can be a lot of fun. And just because you've got the speed, it's like being in an oversized gunboat destroyer. Right, that's the Eli taking pot shots at me there, I think. Well, if you didn't know I have torpedoes before, he certainly does now. Right, definitely got your attention, Heinrich. It would have been lovely if I could get a fire. Well, somebody else has managed to. Of course, with the Heinrich, it's the consumable DCP with a much shorter cooldown, but it's still not nothing. Right, this isn't even long range, this is getting in towards potentially secondary range at this kind of stage of things. Still have got smoke. Oh, we ran out of points. Oh, I guess because just everyone died. Oh well. Right, well that was a bit disappointing, to be honest, being the same map. We got him just before we ended. And again, a defeat, and not actually as close as last time either. There's only so much you can do in a light cruiser, but it's a fun one to play. And I can actually see myself playing this one for fun, just because it is quite different. Eli, on the other hand, is definitely going to be a port queen. Like, I don't have any particular reason to play that apart from doing things like getting winter bonuses and whatever. So, yeah, but Ferruccio, I kind of hope we get... Like, I would not object to seeing other cruisers like this in other tech trees. Fast, light, maybe lightly armed, but also, you know, sneaky and with decent range. It's a really nice combination. So if you're going to go for any of the ships for that event, I would say go for this one. But I will take a look at defense next time. And by next time you'll also know if I went and plonked down however much money is required to get Kitakami as well. And I will say, you know, I don't think, given the way they've sort of held it hostage behind this event and made it whale bait, I don't think people should be going for it. But at the end of the day, it's your money, I guess. But yeah, I still think it's kind of skeevy the way they've done it. Anyway, that is it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and if you did, you can do all the usual things down underneath it. And of course, as always, stay tuned for more.